Everyone remembers how NBA legends looked when they were unstoppable, the championships, the MVP trophies, the impossible shots. The moments when the entire league knew there was no answer, but every superstar eventually reaches the same moment. The moment when the body slows down, the explosion disappears, the numbers decline, and suddenly the player who once carried an entire franchise becomes a question. Is he still worth protecting, or has he simply become an expensive memory? Teams make decisions based on winning salary caps, future assets, championship windows. But every once in a while, a franchise makes a choice that has nothing to do with basketball logic. They choose history. They choose loyalty. They choose the player who gave everything before asking for anything back. And that is the difference between a great player and a franchise legend. In 2013, Kobe Bryant was chasing something impossible. The Lakers were struggling. The roster around him was aging. And at 34 years old, Kobe was no longer the unstoppable scorer who had dominated the league for more than a decade. But he refused to accept that reality. Late in the season, the Lakers were fighting desperately for a playoff spot. Every possession mattered, every game felt like a must-win. Then came the night against Golden State. With the Lakers needing him more than ever, Kobe played through exhaustion, carrying the offense and refusing to leave the court. Until one moment changed everything. A drive to the basket, a familiar movement, then a sudden collapse. The Achilles tendon injury was one of the most devastating injuries an NBA player could suffer. For most players, that moment would mark the beginning of the end. The question was no longer, can Kobe still dominate? What happens when Kobe can no longer be Kobe? The basketball world knew the reality. A 34-year-old superstar recovering from an Achilles injury was not the same player anymore. His scoring numbers declined. His athleticism disappeared. The player who once terrified defenders with impossible footwork and relentless aggression was fighting against time itself. A purely basketball decision would have been simple. Move on, start rebuilding. But the Lakers saw something different. They did not see an aging contract. They saw the player who brought 5 championships to Los Angeles. They saw the player who spent 2 decades wearing the same jersey. They saw someone who became connected to the identity of the franchise itself. So the Lakers made a decision that shocked many people. They gave Kobe a massive extension while knowing his best years were behind him. From a basketball perspective, it was risky. From a franchise perspective, the Lakers were saying, some players are not just employees. Some players become the history of the organization. That same idea defined another legendary career. Tim Duncan never chased attention. He never built his image around controversy. He never needed the spotlight. But somehow, when people talk about the greatest careers in NBA history, his name always appears. Because Duncan represented something rare. Stability for 19 seasons. He wore the same jersey. The same colors, the same city, the same system, and throughout his career, Duncan repeatedly made sacrifices that helped. He accepted smaller roles, he accepted less attention, he accepted that the team mattered more than individual recognition. That mentality became the foundation of the Spurs dynasty. While other superstars searched for the perfect situation, Duncan helped create one. He was not simply the greatest player in Spurs history. He became the reason Spurs basketball had an identity. When Duncan retired in 2016, San Antonio did not celebrate only his statistics. They celebrated what he represented. A different version of greatness. One built on consistency instead of popularity. One built on commitment instead of constant change. Then there was Dirk Nowitzki. For years, people questioned whether Dirk could win a championship. They questioned his style. They questioned whether a European superstar could lead an NBA team to the top. They questioned whether his loyalty to Dallas was a mistake. Because in the modern NBA, leaving can often be easier than staying. When things become difficult, stars can search for new opportunities. But Dirk stayed, through playoff failures, through years when the Mavericks were close but not close enough. Then in 2011, everything changed. At 32 years old, Dirk delivered one of the greatest playoff runs in NBA history. He defeated the Portland Trail Blazers, then eliminated the defending champion Lakers, then defeated Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and the Young Thunder, then shocked the Miami Heat super team. That championship was not just a trophy, it was proof. Proof that patience still mattered, proof that loyalty could still be rewarded. Dallas did not just see Dirk as a player. They saw him as the person who gave the city its greatest basketball moment. That is why his legacy became bigger than basketball. Dirk became Dallas basketball. Stephen Curry represents a different generation. Unlike Kobe, Duncan, and Dirk, Curry entered an NBA where player movement became normal. Superstars gained more control. Teams became more flexible. The relationship between players and franchises changed. But Curry's story still followed a similar pattern. Before he became the face of basketball, many people doubted him. His ankles were a major concern. Some questioned whether his small frame could survive an NBA career. The Warriors did not know they were building a dynasty. They only knew they believed in a talented player who had not yet reached his potential. That belief changed everything. Curry transformed basketball. He changed how teams valued shooting. He changed offensive strategy. He changed what young players dreamed of becoming. But what made his story special was not only the 3 championships, it was the connection. Golden State was not just the team where Curry played, it became the team that grew with him. The player and franchise evolved together. And that is something every organization hopes to find. The NBA is full of talented players. Hundreds of players have scored thousands of points. Many have won championships. Many have reached greatness. But only a few become something more. They become symbols. Because greatness is easy to recognize when a player is dominating. The difficult question comes later, when the highlights disappear, when the statistics decline, when the player needs the organization more than the organization needs the player. That is when the NBA reveals the truth. A great player can be measured by statistics, but a franchise legend is measured by something different. The relationship they built, the sacrifices they made, the memories they created, because eventually every player leaves the court. Every jersey goes into retirement, every career reaches its final game, but the players who changed a franchise never truly leave. Kobe Bryant is still part of Los Angeles. Tim Duncan is still part of San Antonio. Dirk Nowitzki is still part of Dallas. Stephen Curry is still part of Golden State. Their greatest achievement was never just what they did with a basketball, it was what they became without one. And that is why the greatest NBA legends are not remembered only for how they played. They are remembered for what they meant.